Good morning, this is Shelby Law with the Great Basin Prescribed Fire and Smoke Briefing for Monday, June 3rd, 2024. First, we'll take a look at precip here for the past 7 days on the left and the past 30 days percent of normal on the right. Over the past week, it's been fairly dry over Utah and Nevada with just some showers mainly over the central Idaho mountains. Over the past 30 days, we can also see it's been fairly dry. This is the percent of normal, quite dry in some spots in western and southern Nevada. Some areas over the northern Utah mountains and central Idaho mountains and western Wyoming had precip closer to normal, but certainly some concerning areas out there that have been quite dry for a little while. Okay, let's look at the forecast. We do have a trough moving through the Great Basin or through the western U.S. today, bringing a cold front and some showers into mainly the northern half, northern half of the Great Basin throughout the day today with cooler temperatures. Ventilation rates are high. Transport winds are also elevated as this trough moves across the north. The strongest winds will be over the central Idaho mountains and western Wyoming with gusts up to 35-40 miles an hour or so up there. Breezy conditions still over northern Nevada and portions of Utah. Mixing heights are fairly high today, especially over Utah and Nevada. Cooler temperatures are in place today with the passage of this cold front and the trough. Highs in the upper 60s to low 70s in Idaho, mid to upper 70s across Nevada and Utah. Probability of precip is shown here on the right. We're expecting showers throughout the day today in Idaho and then moving a little bit further south into northern Nevada and northern Utah by later in the day. This trough is moving pretty quickly, however, and by Tuesday we'll begin to see a ridge building into the western U.S. for warming and drying conditions. Ventilation rates still looking pretty good on Tuesday. Transport winds still remaining somewhat elevated over the central Idaho mountains and western Wyoming on Tuesday, associated with that exiting trough. Lighter winds over Utah and Nevada as the ridge begins to build in, and mixing heights are still fairly high. We can see temperatures beginning to warm on Tuesday, already getting pretty hot. 102 degrees expected across the far southern tip of the basin, with highs in the mid to upper 80s across much of Nevada, mid to upper 70s in Utah, and kind of a mixed bag there, cooler across the north. Probability of precip really drops off for Tuesday with clearing skies and drier conditions. Some precip possible right on the northern edge of the GAC boundary there. On Wednesday, the ridge continues to build in for continuing warming temperatures and dry conditions. Ventilation rates will decrease as we head into the middle of the week. Transport winds really lighten up by Wednesday with the ridge building into the western U.S. Just some downslope winds possible over western Wyoming and some breezier winds over eastern Idaho. Mixing heights still somewhat high, but decreasing a bit as the ridge builds in. On Wednesday, the temperatures rapidly rise over the far southern Great Basin with highs 108 degrees near Vegas and mid to upper 70s in far western Nevada. Very hot there for the time of year. Warming rapidly across Utah as well, but not quite as high, up to maybe the mid to upper 80s, and then hanging out closer to 70s, low 80s in Idaho. Sunny skies pretty much everywhere on Wednesday. Clearing index for Utah is shown here, looking pretty good today and tomorrow, still remaining pretty high on Wednesday, but decreasing just a bit. The precipitation totals for the next 3 days are shown here. This is just today as that trough moves in and brings showers to the northern third to half of the Great Basin. Thursday, the ridge remains in place for continued heat across the Great Basin. Ventilation rates are moderate across the area underneath that ridge. And on Friday, the ridge continues to be in place with very warm temperatures. Quite warm for the time of year. This is a really rapidly heating pattern that we're experiencing, really setting in beginning Tuesday through the work week. Ventilation rates decreasing a bit or continuing to remain somewhat low across the northern half of the area. Start to see a trough developing off the west coast here. That'll be moving in for the weekend. Saturday should still be a pretty warm day as the ridge remains in place ahead of the trough, but we can see that trough with some precipitation moving closer to the coast here on Saturday. And then by Sunday, that trough will move into the western U.S., bringing a cold front into the Great Basin with some scattered showers on Sunday. So heat for the bulk of the work week, and then some cooler air moving in by Sunday. Precipitation accumulations for days 4 and 5. This is Thursday and Friday, showing just a little bit of moisture moving in ahead of that next low. But the precip with that low won't come until Sunday. And here's the extended forecast for June 10th through the 16th, calling for above normal temperatures across the western U.S., but an above normal precipitation signal for the Great Basin during that time frame as well. This concludes today's briefing. Please check back on Wednesday for the latest updates.